I'll kick it to you. My man, Tristan, thank you so much for coming on the Winner's Paradigm podcast, brother. It's an honor being able to have a conversation with you. And number one, before we even start, I want to tell you, I love the way you move, brother. You move with intensity. You're quick, bro. Like I literally commented on one of your posts that was heart touching and you made me tear up and cry a little bit. And then after that, I get a DM from you and you're like, hey, man, blah, blah, blah. We start talking because we have mutual friends. And it was, hey, I'd love to come on your podcast. So honor that from you, brother, because most people don't move like that. And that's something that makes me want to rock with you even more. I know we're going to go to San Diego, get an in-person interview when I'm done with this fast and do a workout as well. So want to commend you there first, bro. Turn the floor to you. Who are you? What are you passionate about today, brother?
Well, first of all, man, it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and speak on your podcast and share a little bit about myself, and hopefully make an impact on the world, and talk a little bit about what I've been through and who I am and what's brought me to where I am today. So, on long story short, obviously my name is Tristan King, right? I was born and raised in California, Northern California, a place called Chico, small town just north of Sacramento up there. Um, I grew up there all my life. A lot to go into that, but not to get into details as of yet, because I'm sure we'll get there. But I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. Right, 5 days after I graduated high school, I went straight onto the yellow footprint. So I wasted no time. Just wanted to need to get out of there. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, it's been a journey. It's really been a journey. I just recently got out after 11 years of service back in April. I had my coaching program I started back in February 2021. And because I was able to streamline that and scale to a point where I was comfortable enough to be able to provide for myself and my family, I decided to go ahead and leave and, push to where I'm doing today, man. And I can't see things going any other way. I know I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And, I'm fucking excited for shit to keep moving forward and keep inspiring and changing lives, man. But as far as like my background, right? Like I said, from Chico, I had a pretty normal childhood growing up. I was a happy kid. You know, played sports growing up. I was close with my mom and, my dad and stuff like that. They were divorced when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So, I lived in a split home for a while growing up. Well, most of my life, actually. Um, but anyways, man, yeah. So what ended up happening for me, man, is shit hit the fan a little bit when I got into like my teens and I started to get trouble. I got into a lot of trouble, right? And dealt with some stuff that wasn't really my fault. But unfortunately, due to other people's life decisions, it affected me, right? And here I am, man. So I started doing some really dumb shit when I was in high school. Started selling drugs. I smoked a lot of weed. Smoked weed all day, every day. Honestly, it's all my life revolved around. I ended up stopped playing as much sports as I used to because I grew up playing baseball. Baseball was my passion, and then I wrestled as well. Played football. Pretty much most and swam a little bit when I was younger as well. A lot of things, man. So I was very active when it came to like you know the athleticism that was just I felt that was me naturally. You know what I mean? Anything that any ball that I picked up, I could pick up that sport. But yeah, man, drugs started getting involved with me when I was in high school. I was at the point where I was like, doing lines of coke before I even fucking went to school and shit like that. And like, my philosophy was like, get high so you can get high grades kind of shit. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you right now, that's not how it works, right? It's not how it works. So, um, I had to do something different, man, because if I didn't, I would not be sitting here today for sure. I mean, who knows where I'd be? And it's kind of a scary thought to think about, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, like that's what I had to do. I joined the Marine Corps, bro. I was like, fuck it, I got to do something, man. So I got into the Marine Corps. Um, 11 years, man. But I actually joined with my best friend, right? My best friend that we went to high school together. We did everything together, man. Like everything. We were inseparable. Like I literally was with him every day, right? And got to the point where we were so inseparable that we chose to join the Marine Corps together, right? As the buddy system. He shipped out a week before I did. And I went and then I went after him. We actually both ended up getting stationed out in Hawaii as well, right? So he was with 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines out there in Kaneohe Bay, and I was with CLB 3 Combat Logistics Battalion 3 out in Hawaii. That was my first duty station. So I was a motor transport operator. He was a 0311 infantry rifleman, obviously. So, um, Yeah, man. We even when we got out there, we were inseparable, and from that moment on, I was like, wow, dude, like this is like destiny. You know what I mean? Like we're meant for this shit. And we had
Mhm.
plans to serve 4 years, and then we were gonna get out and do something together, like start a business, and like that's what we really talked about growing up. You know what I mean? And 10 months in, bro. He ended up getting killed in a training accident. So he was crushed by a bulldozer out in 29 Palms on March 11th, 2013, which the dates are so ironic, right? 0311. His MOS was 0311. That's crazy, right? And
That's today.
2013, man, there's something about the numbers 1 and 3 that are very significant because of that. And I don't know what exactly it is to this point, but I'll tell you right now, those numbers 1 and 3 mean something, right? And to this day, it's crazy. So that made me have to grow up really fast, bro. Really fast. I mean, it didn't. It's what I felt like I needed to do at the time because that's what I knew. I was 19 years old, man. I was 19 years old. He passed away, and he was only 20. He didn't get to see his 21st birthday. Um, so yeah, at that point, I had started dating this girl at the time. Right afterwards, I actually like grew up with her. We've known each other since we were in sixth grade, and we that was the most support that I'd gotten. Like like her family took me in with open arms when I was mourning the loss of my best friend, and we started dating, and then rushed into marriage because you know how the military is, right? You get the BAH and everything, so it's very incentivized to go ahead and get married, even if you're not necessarily ready to do so. Which for me, I was not ready at all, bro. Like I was 19. Like you think I should? No, it's not. No. So yeah, man. And then at that point, uh, we decided together that we wanted to try for a kid, and I I I just felt like I had to because my friend didn't ever get the opportunity to live his life. He got it taken from him, So I wanted to like I felt like I really just had to like grow up. So had my daughter when I was 20 years old, right? She was born in November of 2014. And we were both out in Hawaii at that point, living together in base housing. And yeah, man, that happened, and stayed out there for until 2015. Ended up PCSing over to Camp Pendleton. I went over to First Recon Battalion in Camp Pendleton as a motor transport operator to support them. Um, I had a lot of shit, man, going through like my childhood and everything before I got into the military, and I wasn't able. I was horrible when it came to coping with my emotions, everything like that. And like I said, I only knew what I knew. So, we were good and all, and she ended up moving back to Chico because I originally was gonna get out of the Marine Corps because I was gonna go into the CHP, California Highway Patrol. I had already done so I'd already passed the written test, physical test, and because military, you're automatically top priority, right? But I was able to get a inactive waiver, and it lasts up to 8 years while you're still in the military. If you want to go into the CHP, you can do that, right? So I had that option. So she had moved back, started going to school, everything like that. But the problem was, man, is I just wasn't mature enough. I just wasn't. I was still just young and just not thinking right. And yeah, so I freaking started partying again. I started going out and hanging out with the people that were doing that shit, right? Because I wasn't around the right people, and it comes back to the people that you're around is who you're like the five people you hang out with the most. You know what I'm saying? So I turned into
Yep.
that guy. Obviously, I was very impressionable, and it didn't turn out good, man. I fucked off. I was unfaithful. I was drinking all the time, and it was bad, dude. Like really looking back, I was living a healthier lifestyle because I knew I needed the gym at that point because like fitness is truly like what gave me that sense of peace and what was the outlet for me that I needed in that moment. And yeah, due to that, man, I started going out, and I ended up, meeting this other chick back in March of 2018, right? And that was the same time that I chose to end my marriage, and obviously that was like at the time it was well, I don't even know what I was thinking, bro. To be honest with you, it was idiotic, bro. And I was obviously coping, and I was lonely, and all this stuff, and yeah, man, not to get into too many details about the other marriage or anything like that. It's kind of insignificant at this point. I just, I had to grow up, and I guess in those 5 years, I did so. Caused a lot of damage in that. Even treated her in ways that I wish that I didn't. And so I really had to this day do a lot of self-reflection based off of all of that. But at the end of the day, fitness was still there. I was living a healthy lifestyle. I was doubting with my macros. I was jacked as fuck. I felt great. I felt amazing in all those ways. But inside my mind, I was suffering, right? Because I was not dealing with the mental health aspect. And that is why I'm so fucking huge on it at this point, man. It's because freaking mindset is everything, man. If you don't have your mental health in check, it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. It really fucking doesn't, because it can all go to shit if your mind is not right. And it wasn't. It wasn't. Like, I mean, it pushed into me getting arrested in 2019, getting in a drunk argument with my ex-wife, right? Freaking at the time. Um, not to go into too much detail, but like, no one was hurt seriously or anything like that, but it was just toxic. It was just not an environment. It was just not what it was meant to be, man. And I was not being the man that I need to be. I just wasn't. And it was all because I wasn't taking care of my mind. And I was obviously living in guilt, living in shame for the fact that I had, ended my first marriage the way that I did. And, it made me feel like shit about myself, right? So how am I gonna like avoid feeling all that? Obviously, is I kept drinking and I kept just pretending like it was all good. Like, I honestly don't even know how I was like living with myself at the time. To be honest with you, it was really
Well,
stupid. So
that's
go
easier.
ahead,
You
man.
know what I mean? It's easier to. I'm going to stop you real quick because you're going a lot of points I want to touch up on as well.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure, man.
it's that, I say that now that I'm sober, I've been drinking 14 months, and I used to drink a
Congrats.
gallon of whiskey. Fucking I did the same thing. I got married quick. Luckily, me and the wife were able to work things out and work on things, but I didn't realize, how bad I had it, number one. And then two, all that shit from my childhood, the traumatic events came out in the marriage, and really started changing the way my wife looked at me initially because it was just too fucking much, and I was out of control. Um, Thank you for sharing about your best friend as well, bro. I definitely can empathize there. My best friend Seth, big ass white dude, he actually was supposed to go to Cal Poly, or he was gonna go to Cuesta first, then go to Cal Poly, and he died a week after high school. So we literally that morning we had
Condolences, bro.
breakfast. We're talking. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the Marine Corps. He's like, bro, it's gonna be a drive. And then we heard about the one, so we're like, oh, we're gonna take the one up to up to over there. I'm gonna see him in San Luis
Yeah,
Obispo, and we're gonna fucking hang out and blah blah blah. I'm like, we built this plan, and then homie dies, and I was just fucking lost, man. Like I was just like going through it, and then getting the Marine Corps. Before deployed, one of my buddies died of cancer at 19, and the last time I see him, I was talking about killing myself because on boot leave, my stepdad thought my mom was having an affair, which comes out to be true. And pulls a 45, misses within a centimeter of my wrestling coach's face, which is her man, and a SWAT team goes through the house, ghetto bird, and I'm just having these violent thoughts. I want to end my stepdad's life. Like, you fucking crossed me, whatever. I get my mom's name tatted. Comes out she was manipulating me, took me to the cleaners for money, and it was fucking tough, man. Like I was just hurting from all these things that I never really dealt with, and then. As you know, bro, get in the Marine Corps, and I was an aviation ops guy, so it was funny. Actually, real quick, one little story. They fucking sent me to the motor pool one day, my first fucking day, right? Like my first week, sent me to the motor pool, and the sergeants there wanted to just fuck with me. And they're like, hey, I need you to go over there and I need you to look for the Humvee keys. So I spent 6 hours fucking running around looking for Humvee keys, bro.
There's so many of those, bro. You got Humvee keys, the pricky eight, the fucking yep. I know all those, man, all that shit.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
go ask first sergeant where the pricky eight's at. No, yeah, okay, all right, sergeant. Yeah, okay. That's hilarious.
yes, I was getting fucked up. And then when I went back, my sergeant major called me in. He's like, did you really look for this all day? Like, that's why you weren't here. I was like, they told me working party. I didn't know what that meant. So went through all that shit.
Oh my
In
god.
Marine Corps, 19 years old, they're like, oh, you're fucking good. So deployed to Kuwait, did a lot, came back, became my own boss, started feeling that way, and then ran into more issues. I seen a lot of my Marines try to kill themselves, catching them off the third deck, stabbing themselves. And again,
Yeah.
ran to that alcohol. And this is where, like, like we said, it doesn't make sense now looking back on it, like why, but now it makes sense to me. Like people are just hurting so much, and it's hard to look yourself in the mirror and admit to it of all the failures and so forth, and now I've only been on this fast like 50 hours, and I'm starting to see things differently. And I was thinking about like when I was a kid, my dad used to beat my mom. My earliest memory, 3 years old, my dad was beating the shit out of my mom in Fresno, and then he used to beat the shit out of my stepmom, and she used to scream my name, from 13 to 16, and I never really did anything. 16th birthday, we got into it. And then I was like, fuck it, I'll die over this shit. In the Marine Corps, me and him pulled knives on each other at Christmas time one year. My wife went to boot camp actually for the Navy. So it was funny because now I'm looking back on it and it's like we didn't have that man we needed to develop. We didn't have that man that went into that. And you even talked about, the people you surrounded yourself with. It's not just because of you, and you're easily influenced. That's everybody, bro. Like if you're with people that are fucking negative, you're gonna be negative. If you're with people that are hoes, you're gonna be a hoe. Like people think that, oh, well, I'm not like that. I have good morals. Like eventually that's gonna creep into your mind, whether you believe it or not, because subconsciously you're training yourself to say it's okay, and people don't realize those things. So I love that you said, physical fitness was your element, something that always kept you locked in. That was me, physical fitness was it. I didn't have my diet locked in, and that's why I didn't have the results I wanted. That's why everything in my life didn't measure up. And really, the past 6 months, I've been harder as fuck. On this 10-day fast, 6 packs coming in. And it's like, once I started doing that, focusing on that element, because my case was, oh, fuck you. I can do 35 pull-ups. I can do fucking 1,000
Savage.
burpees. I can do whatever, you know what I mean? And it was always like
Right.
justifying why I didn't have that body I needed. And I was like, I look big, I don't need to cut down. I know how to make it. I get fucking good PFT, CFT. What the fuck are you gonna tell me? And it was
No.
just like then
Yep.
ran into the injuries, which tore the cartilage, my right knee, back's fucked up, both knees. I need a double knee replacement next 5 to 10 years. I couldn't squat for 5 years, couldn't bench for 2 years. So
Yeah, that
I was
sucks.
looking at it, and it was just like, yeah, physical fitness is something, but two, we need to get healthier with the way that we take care of our bodies and so forth. So I love
Exactly.
that you mentioned that, in when somebody's dealing with all the shit that we went through, all that fucking pain, and you're coming into it and you're realizing that you can transform all that pain into that workout, into something productive. We mentioned this before when we're texting, before we even started this podcast, of getting in flow state. How important is it for you, brother, when you're going through that suck, to understand that we need to get this workout in order to become that better man that we need?
That's a solid question, bro. I mean, if you read my bio on my page, right, I utilize fitness and nutrition as the foundation to overall success. Because in my opinion, right, if you don't have the brilliance in the basics, like we learn in the Marine Corps, the brilliance in the basics, then everything else is like it, you don't have a foundation to build upon, right? So like, sure, like, and I know a lot of people, man. I know like a lot of successful people that make a lot of money in the successful way, but they're overweight, they're unhealthy, they're depressed, they're anxious, all this shit, right? And in my opinion, bro, you can't really call yourself successful if you're fucking miserable. Like you just can't, right? That's just not it. Like so for me, how important that is just like getting back to remembering that like the basics of just getting your workout in and watching what you eat, right, is just going to build so much more potential for you to be successful in all other areas of your life, being able to make more money, be better at your job so you can potentially get a raise, get promoted, all this shit, right? Like people don't think about that. They hyper focus so much on like only that, like getting better at their job or like whatever promotion, they completely forget about themselves, right? It's like they pour into so other people, right? And they're pouring from an empty cup because they don't pour into themselves, right? So when we think that we're doing the best we can for other people out there, really we're not, because we're not actually giving our full potential, even though we think we are. In the moment, we're really giving everything that we have, but that's all we have to give because we don't pour into ourselves. That's kind of my thought process on that. Does that make sense?
No, that's 100. And it's funny. It's funny now when I talk to people, because I've always been, and I bet you can attest to this. Like, no matter what point in my life, I've always worked out. Like when I used to fucking drink like crazy and drink the gallon of whiskey. I mean, I even tried to stop drinking. My sergeant would pull me out of the fucking shower or out of my room in my rack and be like, "Hey, motherfucker, let's go drink, bitch." And then we're getting faded in the barracks, So that was one of the reasons, when I got married, I was happy. It's like I get out the fucking barracks, I gotta stop being around these fucks, because it was just irritating of drinking every fucking day and everybody hurting. And then seeing my Marines
Yeah,
try to
no,
kill
the
themselves.
barracks
And
is a toxic fucking place to live, bro. That's for god dang sure. That's for sure.
bro,
Not good.
so many fucking fights, dude. Like it was just
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah, we used to have a fucking fight club in the barracks, bro. Like back when I
Yeah.
was in Hawaii, dog. Like literally, we'd go out to the McMap pit, put on the gloves, and just fucking go at it, dog. Like we didn't give a fuck.
That was the one thing, dude. I loved McMap, and then I actually got
Me
written up
too,
because
obviously.
yeah, I seen that.
All about it. Yeah.
I got fucking written up by so when I was my own boss, I got my black belt as a corporal, and I was supposed to. So I had a fucking recruiting package in, and then I had the package in to go to MCRD to get my instructor tab, and then that was where I hurt my knee. So literally, they were like, "Go to corporal's course" because I didn't have time to go to corporal's course.
Oh, you hurt
So
yourself in the MAI course?
no, no, no. This was right before. This was like 2 days
Uh,
before fucking going to
got it.
corporal's course because I was gonna go to corporal's course, MEI course, and then fucking yeah, start doing that because one of my buddies at the mag was an instructor. It was funny. He actually got NJP'd and then they let him keep it. They're like, you're a good Marine, you know? So
Right,
I was
right.
always in McMap, fucking killing it every day. And then I got written up because they were like, oh, how did you get a black belt? Because went brown and then I immediately did black. You're not supposed to do that. You know, you're supposed to wait a couple weeks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
fucking went through that and then it was like had this perfect picture of what I was gonna do. I tore all the cartilage in my right knee. My knee's fucked up. I'm running. I'm like, yeah, this knee's not. It's not it. You know what I mean? I can't push through this. So my sergeant major took me off the meritorious sergeant board and was like, nope. You know what I mean? And I was already I already did everything that I needed to do. It's just I was an E4 and an E6 position. I was a fucking ops chief, so I couldn't leave because if I left, then my whole squadron would fall apart. And that's exactly what happened. You know, I left for that month. Everything fell apart. I was working fucking late at night. I actually was going to college too at that time, so I was getting back to my shop like 1900. Fucking 7 p.m. I'm sitting there. I'm doing all the work that needed to be done for the day. So I'm staying till 11 o'clock at night and then up till 2, 3 in the morning because fucking I'm trying to do all my homework that I needed for college and then fucking was missing some classes. So I had to like go on base, be like, hey, sorry, I'm missing classes. This is what's going on right now. And then they're like,
Mhm.
you're at a course. You're not supposed to be doing college, or you're not supposed to be fucking tasked with any other things. And I'm like, hey, my unit doesn't give a fuck. They're like, results and mission is number one. So that was kind of my mindset, you know, it was results, mission. And this is where I was going with that was for me throughout that time period of going through all that suck, it was like the gym was there for me. You know, that was the one thing I was able to do. My
Always will be.
nutrition wasn't on point, but it was like it was frustrating because it was like I was always in the gym, you know. So it's hard for me now when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, my life's hard," and I'm like looking at it and I'm like, "All right, you have this." You know, when we start building a game plan of their whole entire day, and then you realize they don't go to the gym, and it was hard for me initially because I'm like, "How the fuck do you not go to the gym, dude? Like that is the one place that I have to be." Like we'll literally go to Fresno with family and now these motherfuckers know when we go there that like I'm up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And I literally was doing like backyard fucking workouts, burpees. My father-in-law had 30-pound dumbbells. I'm using them. I'm fucking recording this shit. One of my boys gives me his gym membership. So now everybody's like, oh, did you get a workout in today? Because I'm like, I can't just not miss the gym because that's something that's important to me. And I start being fucking, I start being
Dude,
out of
some
alignment.
random guy just comes up to my car real quick. I'm like, dude, I'm on a fucking call right now. Dude, go away. Jeez, sorry about that. Continue.
That's San Diego for you, bro.
Yeah, man. It's like, dude, like, come on. You not. All right, anyways.
That shit and then the hella homeless people now, dude. Fuck.
Right, dude, it's getting bad out here, bro. It is horrible. Honestly, me and my girlfriend have already talked about it. We're moving out of downtown after this, or maybe at least closer to Pacific or like to the coast, right? Like on the water, because like, dude, it is horrible, man. Like I literally, there's one time I had to walk outside. I was walking my dog, bro, and there's like a side door to freaking walk outside,
Uh-huh.
to the place where the dogs go to the bathroom, and bro, I couldn't even open the door because there's some guy fucking injecting heroin right outside of the fucking door, and I couldn't even open the door, and he was just like, I'm like, dude, this is like, how is California allowing this? Like, this is not even safe. This is fucking ridiculous. Like, it's pretty crazy, bro.
No,
So,
it really it is crazy right there. I've seen it a lot, and then we used to live in Mira Mesa, and but that was our first apartment. So we lived in Mira Mesa. They actually raised our rent by like fucking $200. So we ended up moving, but we went to the laundry room and they didn't lock the door, and we found a bunch of fucking needles in there, needles in front of my car tire, almost punctured it, and I was just like, bro, what the fuck is this? You know, and I'm laughing because my wife never experienced any of that shit. So
yeah.
for me, I start fucking laughing, just like, why? I'm like, oh, dude, I've seen this shit too many fucking times. And I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you don't go outside at nighttime, we're good. And she was just like looking at me like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I'm just laughing because I'm like so used to the bullshit. And that was something for me, you know, was we get consumed by it, you know. So I'll sum up another point, bro. one thing that you talked about, on your page, and this is something that resonated with me, and this is why I said you made me tear up and you made me level up as a man, was you talked about, being sexually assaulted multiple times. And then really we just get past that. We don't acknowledge it as men. It's something that we don't want to talk about, especially around another man. Like,
Absolutely not.
it's the fucking worst because you think that everybody's going to think less of you when actually it's the inverse, and that's what something that was funny. It's like you posted that, and that's something I'm hesitant to talk about. And even now, like, I don't like talking about. And it was something you posted that it inspired me. And then I came out that day and I was like, you know what? This happened to
Wow.
me. The reason why I said that is because my boy Tristan King was sharing his journey. And I'm like, you know what? I don't talk about it often because I put on this macho game and I talk about all these things, but I want you to understand why I was drinking so much. One of the things that was, fucking with me mentally was like I couldn't get anywhere because regardless, like those limitations would come back. So for you, when you worked through it, when you started doing the work on that end, what was that emotion like after when you understood that, hey, I can use this pain and start turning it into a transformational message?
Bro, that's a great question. And actually it's funny, Clinton, obviously. He's my mentor and we were talking, and um something that resonated with me now is I realized that vulnerability is the number one way to raise your state of vibration. It really is, man. And yeah, like I've shared that with other people. I've been somewhat open about it, but like once I really just let out everything, bro, I literally felt like the world just like came off my shoulders, dude. I felt in that moment on like I had just became a new man. Like not even joking you. It was the most surreal, liberating feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. And I don't think it's better than any drug I've ever done, anything, bro. Like I immediately from that moment on permanently felt like a new man just because I was able to just let it out. And if you like, I mean literally, dude, it's almost unreal. I obviously it was hard to post, you know what I mean? Like, sharing something like that. And, yeah, dude, like, and not to get in the nitty gritty, but like, when I was younger, well, when it initially happened, I actually like didn't understand like what it did to me. You know what I mean? Like at the time, like, the first one was like, dude, I had a fucking threesome with a fucking 19-year-old chick and a 30-year-old dude when I was 11 years old, bro. And I was like forced into it. And this guy was fucking on parole from San Quentin, and he was living in my backyard because my mom was in a toxic relationship, and this dude fucking let this guy that fucking worked at 7-Eleven, who was on parole, literally, fucking, he needed some like residency for his fucking parole, right? But it's funny because he wasn't even allowed to be around children under 18 years old because he was in fucking prison for chasing after his wife with a knife and trying to kill her. So that's why he was there. And he was living in my fucking backyard. And the dude used to like come into my room at like fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, and because he just liked to kick it with me because he was bored or whatever. So he would literally like fucking smoke weed with me, drink with me, whatever. And I was young, bro, and like I was impressionable, and I thought I was cool at the time. And there was one time I went in the backyard, and freaking he like invited me back there. There's some fucking chick in there, and she was literally like 19 years old. I don't know, like an adult to me. Obviously, I was fucking 11, dude. And I was 11, and like, yeah, dude, it was just so weird, bro. And like they like just like forced me into it. And at the time I thought it was cool. And like now I'm looking back, like, bro, that psychologically fucked me up bad, dude. And then the second time was actually the dude that I used to buy weed from when I was younger. I was like 14 or 13, 12 or 13 at the time. And yeah, he was like some fucking dude I, always bought weed from. He was my dealer. And I went over there one time and he was just like, hey, bro, like, and he was just like, you want to go fuck Elizabeth? And that was his girlfriend, right? And I was just like, what do you mean? Like he was just like, yeah, like just head over there and fucking she owes me a favor, so fucking head over there. I was like, all right. He's just like, she already knows what's up. And then I just fucking go over there. I just knock on the door and she just like lets me in and fucking just no words, no exchange, no nothing. She just fucking apparently had to do it for him. And I was like, it was fucking weird, bro. Like, but I didn't understand it. But like, I got older, it like now, like, I don't think I really realized how bad it fucked me up until like last year or this year, dude. Like, as I started to realize that I could never have like a strong emotional connection to like any relationship that I was in. Like sex was a fucking triggering topic for me all the time, dude. Like I anytime that like any of my relationships, people would bring up sex, I would automatically get triggered, right? And I didn't understand why. And it was like, dude, well, that's pretty fucking obvious, man, because I was exposed to shit at a young age that no kid should ever be exposed to, right? So I had a whole like like outlook on like sex in general was just fucked because of that, dude. Like I looked at it as more as like a transaction, nothing that was like actually intimate or like fucking, you know, loving. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
just to give you the insight on that.
I appreciate you saying that, bro. And that was something for me too. Was 4 years old. My dad smashed a girl in the same bed I was in. So I kind of already knew about sex and I knew exactly what it
Right.
was. And then I think I was like 8 or 9. I don't even remember how old I was, honestly. Like 8 or 9, 10, around that ballpark. But when my uncles got out of rehab, because he was on meth, all fucking crazy, which I didn't know about till later. But he had some girlfriend when he wasn't with his wife. And I would be there and they would leave us there alone. And I just remember like it was fucking weird because they were like, "Oh, do you want to play house?" And I'm like, "Yeah," So that was the first time
Right.
I've kissed a bunch of
Right.
girls, you know what I mean, but I never made out with a
Right.
girl. So that was the first time I made out with a girl,
Right.
and I went back in front of everybody. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I made out with your daughter," to the girl, and she's like, "What the fuck?" So they're like, "Oh, leave the door open," and then we would go back and they would close the door. And then it was like an older brother who was probably like 12, 13. And then he had an older sister who was like 14. And the fucked up part was they had like a younger sister. She's probably like 6 or like 7, 8. You know what I mean? I might have been 9 or 10 because she was younger. And they would make us like perform like it was porn. You know what I mean? And then he'd be like, "Get down here, lick her like this, do this or that." And I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? And then my dad had a bunch of porn videos and shit, and I seen them like with his friends watching it because I lived in a bachelor pad. So I was like, "Oh, that's what
Yeah.
that was." But I never really like interpreted it, never really like understood. I just kind of like
Yeah. You
compressed it.
don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So it was something for me. Like once I got older, started looking into it, especially my relationships. Because before I got married with my wife, my ex, she was cool, but it was just straight sex. And then it was the alcohol to where it was like I was getting fucking faded and just fucking. Like that was just it. That was just what I did. Hey, every
Yep.
day, I'd come home and
Yep.
she wouldn't even ask me about. I moved in with her. She lived in Chula Vista, so I actually moved in with her, and I drive to Miramar every day. And
Mhm.
it was funny because like I would get home and it would just be straight sex. It wouldn't be how was your day? It wouldn't be anything. It was
Like,
just the
skip
business.
the bullshit, huh?
Yeah, bro. And
I get it.
honestly,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't get
get it.
that until I was at corporal's course. And the day of my test, bro, I got so fucking drunk that I showed up still drunk the next morning. You know what I mean?
Damn.
And
I've been
they were
there.
like,
I
"Hey,
get
you
it.
good?" And I was like, "Oh, I helped my aunt move last night. I had some drinks, blah, blah, blah." Luckily, I was like 21.
Yeah.
And they were like, or I was about to be 21, excuse me. So they were like, "Oh, what happened?" I was like, "Yeah, I was at my aunt's house last night and I helped move or whatever." And I just remember like having that feeling of lying to people and then
Right.
luckily got my way out of it. But it was not a good feeling where I was like, "Bro, what the fuck am I doing, dude?" Like, I'm literally just suppressing my pain, suppressing my emotions. Me and my wife were talking about that. She was like, "Oh, you and your ex, did you ever have any deep, intimate conversations?" And I'm like, "No." Like, when it came to my dad, "Oh, your dad was abusive." Yeah, we don't talk about that. And it was just like not touching on these things. And then my wife sees me completely vulnerable crying in front of her. And she's like, "What the fuck? Like, this is a different version of you," because I had to, sit and really soak in those things, and talk about those tough things. Or I remember one time I told my mom that there was another black kid in my town, um, Kingsburg next to Fresno. There was only like 2, 3 black kids. So I didn't grow up with the black side. I grew up with all the Mexican side. So I was cool with some black kid. And then I went to his house and he was younger than me. And homie was like touching my dick in the middle of the night, pulling my pants down, like just fucking with me all night. You know what I mean? Trying to get sexual with me. And we're like fucking 13, 12, 13 years old. You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Bro, what the fuck are you doing?" It's like I slapped the shit on this fool. I go back to sleep. I leave like at 5:30 back home. Never talk to this dude again. And I seen him one time and I like punked his ass and I was like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you next time I see you." And
Hmm.
never dealt with that, but suppressed that and was like, whatever. That was nothing. And I really started thinking about it later on. It's like, yeah, that was another reason why, like, for gay people, I didn't really like it because where I'm from, it's not accepted. And then it was that instance, for instance, where I was just like, these fucking people make me afraid for my life. When in turn, it wasn't that. It was me having to deal with my own shit, me having to deal with, what my issues were. So I really appreciated you, when you were talking about that. And that was something even with Clinton, first conversation with him, I started opening up about it. And it was weird because like I said it and then I looked at him like, "Oh, and here goes the validation." You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Fuck, dude, he's gonna judge me." And Clinton was like, he starts joking, he starts laughing and shit. He's like,
Sounds
"Yeah,
about
man,
right.
I understand. Da, 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 I've been through some crazy shit in my life." And I'm like, "What the fuck, dude? I thought you were gonna make fun of me." You know what I mean? And he was just like,
Yeah.
"Nah, bro." He's like, "No one gives a fuck." He's like, "You went through this in your life. Talk about it." He's like, "The shit you don't want to talk about is powerful." And I was just like, you're right. So anytime now I figure that out, as if it's tough shit, I talk about, one of the things me and you both talk about consistently is showing up and being the best that we can be, because we weren't the best husbands, we weren't the best parents, we weren't present. And that's why, we focus every day on that. So for you, brother, what's one thing that allows you to stay present within the moment every day, but also understand that there's reasons why you show up as this different man, because one day before you weren't that man?
That's a great question, man. Very elaborate too. So can you kind of like rephrase it as far as like, what exactly you mean?
Yes, sir.
what makes me like what exactly makes me remember that I need to be present, right? Is that what you're asking?
Correct. So yeah, what allows you to be present, given that you understood your past failures and why you have to show
Got
up
it.
differently in life?
Got it. Yeah. Well, I have two kids, man. I have two kids, and I'm in a relationship, and I have close friends, and you know, we have to remember we're not alone, bro. We really do. And you have to remember your why, and you have to remember your purpose. I always take it back to my purpose. Everything I bring back to my purpose, and um, that's one thing that I struggled with for a long time. I mean, at one point, I thought I was going to spend 20 years in the Marine Corps, right? But then I realized all the friction that I got was obviously forcing me to go another direction. You know what I'm saying? Um, but as far as staying present, man, it comes back down to that. It really does. And don't get me wrong, man. I'm not a fucking perfect person. I fuck up all the time, dude. I really do. Like, I still revert back to old ways occasionally, and fucking, have to forgive myself and ask for forgiveness and things like that, right? We're growing, and healing is a forever journey. It really is. Like, it never stops. Like, there's no final destination. You don't ever hit the finish line. And I feel like for me, that's what keeps me the most present, is remembering that, is like, even if I do fuck up, like, dude, we don't ever have to be perfect, because no one's ever gonna be perfect. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people struggle with that and end up beating themselves up a lot more than they need to, because they expect perfection out of themselves, right? And like, if you truly remember, like, that you're not, that's never gonna be the case, right? And that's just gonna help you continue to keep going every single day, one day at a time, right? Like yesterday, I could have like done something really stupid, but like today, I wake up and I know that, what, progress is never linear, right? So as I continue to keep walking, I keep moving. Like, over time, I look back a year from today, like, I was doing good a year ago, but I'm doing better today than I was a year ago, obviously. And next year, it better be the same fucking story. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how I look at it. As long as you're always focusing on growth, and you know that that's your priority in life, then regardless of, even if you fuck up, in the long run, you're gonna have progress. Does that make sense?
No, that makes 100% sense. And I was thinking about that the other day, because I was like, I lost 35 pounds this year. My body, got healthier, which was crazy to say, because like I said, I didn't bench for 2 years, barbell bench, and I didn't squat for 5 years. My knee still feels fucked, but now it's like, if you see me squatting, I'm on the Smith machine, and people are like, "Why are you using the Smith machine?" I'm like, "Oh, because it's intentional. I know exactly how I can get the movement in." I'm stabilizing my core. I'm getting stronger. I can do 225 on fucking regular, barbell and squat. But I was like, for me, it's continually getting the reps and training myself, so I don't need to do that. And then focusing, on the body, mind muscle connection, strengthening my core, making sure it's actively engaged. Like, I never did any of that shit. So it's funny now when it's like, we have the education, we put that time into ourselves, and you mentioned that, it's like, you need to think about how you were a year ago. And for me, it was like, I've been so fucking dialed in. The nutrition's been on point. People are asking, "Hey, bro, what the fuck are you doing? How are you this different man?" It's like, because I continually do that. Even now, started this 10-day fast. I fucking hate fasting. And I always say that. I fucking hate fasting. And people are like, "You can't say that. That's a negative mindset." Bro, I get migraines all fucking day, and it gets fucking miserable. And I throw up every day.
You're
I've
allowed to hate it. I get it. I get
Yeah, I
it.
got I got extreme joint pain. So after I had the arthroscopic surgery, I started getting extreme joint pain. And literally beginning of
Mhm.
this year, I went in the doctor. They're like, "Oh, it could be cancer." So I went through all that. Then I went through fucking a TRT clinic. They're like, "Oh, you have low testosterone. You need to be on this." And then I go, "Nah, I plan to be doing other shit when I get older. So I'm gonna wait to get on TRT." I was like, "I'm gonna get
Right.
shredded first, and then I can get on it." And they like looked at me like, "What the fuck? Like, you're gonna really say this given your circumstances?" And I was like, "One thing you know about me is you don't tell me fucking no. And I was like, two, don't tell me I can't do something because I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'd say, what, motherfucker? So for me, it was going down that path. And it was figuring out, hey, how do I live in alignment with that man I admire? So I really love that you say these things, and you live by it and you can tell. And that's why, I fuck with you as a person, bro, is you can tell that pain that a man's went through, but more importantly, how he shows up every day just by his actions, just by the way he speaks, the way you lead, and a lot of us haven't had those leaders, so for me, it's funny because it always goes, circle, especially when we're talking about the Marine Corps and the way we had it, it's like, it's always this tough, 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 suck it the fuck up thing. And then when we can have this mindset where we're like graceful with people, you're like, yeah, man, I understand. You're just not ready to make the jump. You're not ready to take advantage of that. And we'll close that out. This will be second to last question, bro. But you say it all the fucking time, and I love it about you. It's like you speak that shit into existence about that client, who says, hey, man, I need to wait on this program. I know for me, personally speaking, when I just said, fuck it, I don't care how much it costs, I'm going to get on this program. I'm going to just be more disciplined than ever and have that accountability. My life
Well, yeah.
changed.
No, no, straight up, bro. Like, yes. Like, the thing is, man, is like, obviously the cliche thing, mindset is everything, but it's like, bro, it's fucking true, man. It's true. Like, you have to be willing to like take risks. Like, if something like honestly, like for me, right? When I first started my coaching business, dude, I had $550 in my bank account, dog. Like I was not doing great. I had already paid rent. I already paid child support. It was on the 2nd of February, 2021, right? And I got on a call and the dude's like, it's a $7,500 program. I didn't have that kind of money, dude. But he said, look, you can put down a deposit of 500 today and then, just start crushing sales, bro. And next month you'll be able to pay it off with your sales. Like, I was still active duty, so I had a guaranteed income regardless. And like, dude, most people would literally say, I can't afford it. Most people would say, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. And like, no, dude, like, could I afford it? Technically, no. But dude, that's the eyes of the fucking beholder. You know what I'm saying? That's up to you if you can fucking afford that or not. And that's the thing, bro. Is like once people realize that like your thoughts really do turn into things, right? It's a real thing, dude. Like, and I said, fuck that. I can't control it, and I know that I'm worth more than what the fuck kind of life I'm living right now, dude. Like, I know it. So like, I'm doing it regardless. I don't give a shit what anyone says. So I did it. And then, dude, the very first month I started my coaching business because I got into a fucking, obviously, a course to help me scale, like start a coaching business. And yeah, dude, I made over 10 grand the very first month, right? And had I just, took the safe route or like thought it through or whatever the fuck people want to justify in their head, dude, I wouldn't have been able to impact as many lives as I have today. I wouldn't have been able to change my life and, live in a comfortable way. Like, there's just so many things that could never happen had I not took that risk, right? And then also, like, when we're talking about health, dude, when we're talking about all this shit, right? Is like, I've gotten on calls with people, dude, that are like very fucking overweight. Like they're pushing their death. Like their death is around the corner as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? And like I present them the solution, the blueprint, everything, and the price to get on the coaching program. Like even for my mid-level program, which is not that expensive, dude. Like when you're talking about changing your fucking life and adding years onto your life, literally, like, dude, if I said my mid-level program is $750, right? And if I said, for $750, I will help you learn skills in ways that will literally add years onto your life so you can spend time with your loved ones, your kids, your grandkids, right? Like, who in the fuck would say no to that? And like, that's the thing is people don't look at it like that. They're just so superficial about the cost of everything, right? And it's not about the cost of the product, it's about the cost of your fucking life at this point, right? Like, what is your life worth to you? Not the fucking program. Like, and that's the thing. It's like people like and society does it to people, man. Like honestly, they wire people to think that they're controlled and they can only live on a fixed income and that's just the way they have to live. And it's just like, dude, it doesn't have to be that way. Right? So yeah, man, that's really my take on that, dude. It's like it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
Nah, and I get that 100%, and I think about that too. And that was one of the things for me. I literally put it on my story today, and I literally explained it. And it was funny because I was like, growing up as a kid, my dad was jacked. He was jacked, but he has a lot of fat too. So that's how I know about my body type. It's like even with my dad, I seen him hustling, and until he was running some shit or until he
Hmm.
was doing some extra, he wasn't getting those results. Why? Because he was a big drinker too. So it would come to the weekend, motherfuckers just drinking all weekend, and it fucks your metabolism up. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize that for
Completely,
me.
completely the opposite. Like when it comes to protein synthesis, everything like that, bro, alcohol completely fucks that, dude. Like, and it's crazy because like people want to have their cake and eat it too, man. It's like, dog, stop saying you're about that life. And that's they're all superficial as fuck, bro. It's
Yep.
like they care about the results, but they still want to live their lifestyle. It's like fuck you. You have to live a different lifestyle if you want the fucking results. That's it. And if you're not willing to do that, then you don't actually want the results. You're fucking lying. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I learned that because right before I hurt my knee, that was where I got shredded again. Was I literally I stopped drinking for a month and I fucking was doing CrossFit style workouts in the morning and then I would lift at nighttime. And then I started noticing my body was changing because I didn't know about the 72 hours after you're drinking that it takes your metabolism to go back to normal. So I stopped drinking for that. I started getting shredded and then I started drinking again when I got hurt and I was just exploding with the weight going up. There was no way I was losing it. I literally was on the elliptical. I was trying fucking everything. I was not losing any fucking weight, you know. So thought about the diet, and then it was funny because when my wife went to boot camp, I literally for 6 months, bro, was just eating fucking ground turkey, rice, vegetables, a little bit of chile, fucking salmon, rice, broccoli, fucking chicken, rice, broccoli, and like that was it. That was my meals all day. And I was just like, hey, I'm gonna keep it as basic as possible because I know this is what's gonna keep me reeled in. I also didn't drink as much, and that was something that I learned for myself. You know, so I was coming to my dad. It was like I would see this man always in the gym, 5 a.m. You know, he'd wake me up my freshman year of high school and be like, "Hey, motherfucker," before football practice, and be like, "You need to get in the gym. You need to get a work at it." I fucking hated this dude for it, but it was like he was so locked in when it came to during the week that on the weekend, yeah, he didn't do that. You know, and I don't respect a man who can't follow through with his word 100%. And that was a lot of things with him. You know, I was like, I literally said that like my family is a problem. Hey, you got to look at your own fucking results. But I was like, I'm not here to cater people or anything, right? So for him, he was so locked in there. And then I went to my mom's side where 2 or 3 drinks a day. My stepdad was one of those skinny fat people, so can't get any fucking weight. So he had a high metabolism. So eating all this candy, drinking fucking Jack Daniels every day, wilding the fuck out every day, and then they would try to justify I'm a hard worker, I can have 2 to 3 drinks, and we're like, that's why you fucking fall apart when you're trying to work out, you know. So for me, it was learning that mindset, and like I understand those people, but it's just like, how could you complain about the results or be one of those people, you know, who thinks that you're a high performer and we justify what we were doing. And I'm like, hey, I've been there, you know what I mean? I've seen both the things. And literally me and my wife had the conversation like last night, was it was talking about it. And I'm like, all you have to do is just look at somebody and you listen to them and you're going to see the exact results they bring to the table. You're going to see how they fucking push themselves. You're going to see how they perform. You're going to see exactly what they validate. You're going to see them have a drink in their hand. I don't drink that much. Like, bitch, why are you having a drink then? Like, if you don't need it, then why are you doing it? But most people aren't going to have
Yeah,
that clarity and
it's
understand
such
that.
it's mediocre behavior, bro. It's fucking below average behavior, man. And it's like, yeah, I could justify it. I could say like, oh, 1 to 2 drinks isn't gonna kill me. Blah 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 blah. Fuck that. Yes, it will. As a matter of fact, if I already have a predisposition to alcoholism, then why the fuck am I gonna fucking even test the waters, dude? Like, it's just like, you're just being a bitch, to be honest with you. You really fucking are. That's just my opinion. It's like you're justifying that behavior because you want to have your cake and eat it too, and you're not really all in with your fucking the way you say you are. That's it. Like,
Boom.
dude, it's it. So yeah.
No, I agree there. You know, and my point is like I'm a foodie, bro. I like to eat. So I'm like, you know what?
Mhm.
Honestly, now, like I'm so fucking dialed in that I can have that burger one time. And then that's my cheat meal. I don't have a fucking cheat day. Like I used to say some bullshit. And I was like, because we don't work out that hard. You're not the fucking rock, dude. You're not gonna have no fucking cheat day. And that's what everybody thinks. I'm gonna have a cheat day. The rock has a cheat day. Like, no, motherfucker, you're not the rock. You don't work out anywhere near, you're not anywhere near disciplined, and you're not doing what he's
And
doing.
that's yeah, exactly, bro. That's another thing is like all these, the people that are like just like starting to change their life and start getting into this lifestyle, right? Is like you don't have any wiggle room. Like you're just getting started with this. You've never lived like if you just hopped on my program, for instance, right? Like I do say have one cheat meal a week, one cheat meal because this actually has benefits to it. But
Yeah.
the thing is like, bro, like stop trying to sit here and like You can't bring your old life into your new and expect your new life to flourish. It's just never gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So
Boom, brother. And I
with
love that.
that, you know what I'm saying?
Most people don't get that shit, you know? So we'll wrap it up here with the last question, bro.
Yeah, let's do
What would
it.
you say to the previous version of ourselves? We don't know where to start. We just want to align ourselves with our definition of success.
Ooh, that is a great question, man. Um, I would say one. That's a really good question. Let me make sure this one's good. I would have to say straight up, stay by yourself. Stay by yourself for a little bit, right? Like if you're in like because I was in and out of relationships and stuff like that, and like really your network is your net worth, right? Like the people that you're around, everything like that. Like if I could have just got around the people that were doing more when I was younger, bro, I would be a lot farther than I am today, to be honest with you. Like because I stayed around where I was comfortable. That's what it was. Like so that would be the last thing that I would tell my younger self is be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to be around people that make you uncomfortable. Be willing to be around people that challenge you and will not accept mediocrity, will not accept anything but everything you got. That right there for me would have been the biggest impact because I hung around people that were surface level and truly below who I could have been, and I chose to not, get around the right people, and that's what held me stagnant for a long time. And mental health. Like if I had gotten into therapy when I was fucking a lot younger, I think I would have, avoided a lot of fucking pain and suffering for myself and other people that I put it through as well. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love that, bro. I love that on the first point, of aligning yourself to people. And I always did that somewhat at some capacity. But again, here
Hmm.
goes the justifications. I justified it to where it was funny. Like our corpsman on deployment was my best friend, and he was at E6. And then it was always just having that older crowd of me telling me whatever, but it wasn't living that shit. So for me, it
Hmm.
was, applying this shit, whatever. I would always be that guy that's like, fuck you. And then a year later, oh, you know what? You're right when it came to this. And they're laughing at me because they're like, bro, I told you what to fucking do a year ago. And then it was moving with intensity. Then it was investing in the coaching programs. Luckily, working with the dude that I looked up to, that was the greatest person on the planet, and it didn't work out because it made me mature as a man. And then saying, hey, I got to take action for me and become the best me. And then now it's funny because I meet these kids that are like 22, 23, 21, fucking strapped on mindset. And I'm like, fuck, dude, imagine like how we would have been if we would have been at that point then and just been locked and loaded. But for us, we had to go through so much pain, so much bullshit in order to get to where we are. So really grateful for that, bro. Thank you for coming on. I know we will do a round two in person. So thank you, my man. Where can people
Of
find you if
course,
they want to
brother.
keep up with you, brother?
Where can they find me? Well, they can find me obviously on my Instagram at Tristan M King underscore. Again, that's at Tristan M King underscore. I do have a website landing page for coaching. If you're interested in working with me one on one, you can go to www.thekingscourt.co. That's co. Again, it's www.thekingscourt.co. And I do have TikTok and Facebook as well. But as far as getting a hold of me and where I spend most of my time and do business is on those platforms that I mentioned earlier. So again, thank you, brother, for having me on here. And it's an honor. And I love we're both veterans and we're both doing the thing that revolves around personal development. And really, because the thing is people need us out there, man. So veterans need veterans, men need men, and people need people. So let's just keep doing what we're doing. And as always, fucking send it. You know what I'm
Hell
saying?
yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Thank you
Yep.
again. It was an honor, man. We'll definitely will have that in the show notes. I appreciate you, my brother.
Absolutely. Take care, bro.